In an age before the waking of elves and men, the Vala Aule, who delighted in craftwork and the creation of life, grew impatient in his desire to see the children of Iluvatar. Therefore, he created the 7 fathers of the dwarven race, unique life forms of his own design, short in stature but physically powerful. Yet these beings were little more than mindless puppets of Aule's will, since only the true creator, Eru Iluvatar, could impart the flame imperishable, which granted intelligence and independent thought. Scolding the Vala for attempting to supersede the will of Eru, Aule repented and offered to destroy his work. Refusing to allow it, Eru took the dwarves as his adopted children and granted them the flame imperishable, but also put them to sleep, as the elven race must be the first to awaken and take their place in the world. Therefore, it was in the years after the raising of the stars and rising of the elves that the dwarves once again opened their eyes, with 7 dwarven clans emerging as descendants of the 7 fathers. These clans included the Broadbeams and Firebeards, who awoke in the Blue Mountains of the west, while the Longbeards resided in the central Misty Mountains, leaving the Ironfoots, Stiffbeards, Blacklocks, and Stonefoots to settle in the lands later known as Rune, possibly within the Red Mountains of the Far East. Although dwarves were known to be strong and hardy folk, fiercely loyal to each other and their clans, not all could abide the laws and customs of their people, and so were forced to survive on their own as exiles. During the years of the trees, when the elves still dwelt in their original homeland of Cuiviénen, some of the dwarves, exiled from their clans in the east, migrated west, reaching beyond the Blue Mountains to settle in Beleriand. Establishing the realms Nulukisdin and Sharbund, these mixed clan exiles were no longer bound to traditional dwarven culture, and so created their own unique customs and laws. Although they did not place the same value on selective secrecy as their kinfolk, who would not reveal their true names or language to outsiders, these exiles were even more withdrawn, isolating themselves from other races while keeping to their own people. Yet these precautions were ultimately insufficient to prevent calamity, as the elves of the east eventually journeyed to Beleriand and settled their own realms, marking the beginning of the end for the dwarven exiles. Having grown smaller than other dwarves throughout the years of their isolation, as well as more primitive and less skilled in craftwork, the elves did not recognize them as sentient beings, and thus believed them animals, hunting them to near extinction. In time, the elves made contact with other dwarven clans, like the Broadbeams and Firebeards of the Blue Mountains, and only then learned the exiles were a form of intelligent life. Realizing their error, they named these beings the Petty Dwarves, ended the hunt for their kind, and largely left them alone from that point forward. Yet the damage was done, and the Petty Dwarves never recovered from the losses sustained. Those who survived shared a burning hatred for the elves, forever remembering the violence inflicted upon them. In the years of the First Age, which followed the rising of the sun and waking of the human race, the petty dwarf population continued to diminish, until they were forced to abandon Nulukisdin, retreating to their last stronghold at Sharbund, which became known as Aman-Rud. Their hatred for the elves then grew worse, when they learned the Noldor built their realm Nargothrond upon the lands they once ruled, thereby adding insult to injury. Nearing the end of the First Age, the Petty Dwarves were all but extinct, seeing the male Mim alongside his 2 sons, Kim and Ibn, as the last of their kind. Unfortunately, these last remaining exiles were unable to end their lives in peace, as tragedy once again struck their people, ensuring a sad and violent end for the Petty Dwarves. In the year 486 of the First Age, while carrying sacks of goods to their home, Mim and his sons spotted a band of outlaws, led by the famous warrior Turin, son of Húrin, a great hero of the human race, suffering through a lifelong curse inflicted upon him by the Dark Lord Morgoth, a powerful enemy seeking the destruction of all creation. To avoid trouble, the dwarves tried to sneak around the outlaws, but were spotted, resulting in the capture of Mim, though his sons successfully fled. Yet as they ran away, the outlaw Androg loosened an arrow which struck Kim, leaving a grievous wound. Although the brothers made it home, Kim could not be saved and died from his injury. Meanwhile, Mim was forced to bargain for his life, offering his home as a shelter for the outlaws who were on the run from the orc armies of the Dark Lord. Upon his return to the caves of Sharbund, Mim found his son dead and grew furious, placing a curse of death upon Androg should he ever pick up another bow. Though Sharbund was now called Bar En Nibenog, meaning House of the Petty Dwarves, Mim renamed it Bar En Danwith, or House of Ransom, in protest of the outlaws. Upon realizing the terrible deeds they committed against Mim and his family, Turin offered their services as workers and guards to help and protect the dwarves while staying in their home. As the weeks and months passed, Mim continued to resent the outlaws, but also grew to enjoy their company to some degree, even befriending their leader Turin. Yet his hatred for the man who murdered his son continued, and so Mim was content when Androg defied the curse and used a bow to attack orc forces. As a result, Androg was shot by a poison arrow and would have died if not for the elf Beleg, a friend of Turin, who used his knowledge to save the man's life. Having been raised to despise elves, this only furthered Mim's hatred for Beleg, who robbed him of vengeance. Yet even so, Mim felt his revenge would come, believing the curse was destined to strike again. Although history is uncertain of what next occurred, two possibilities emerged. In the first version of events, Mim and his son grew increasingly upset with the outlaws and their elven ally, and so purposely betrayed them to the orcs, while the second story claims they were captured, and so Mim was forced to betray the outlaws in order to save his son from terrible torture. In either case, the dwarf set forth conditions for his cooperation, demanding that Turin be spared, while Beleg be left tied up so Mim could personally end his life. Whatever truly occurred, Mim escaped the ordeal with his life, but his son Ibn did not, and died by unknown means, possibly at the hands of the orcs. Journeying to Aman Rud, the orcs launched a devastating attack, killing nearly all the outlaws and scattering the few to survive. At last succumbing to the curse of Mim, Androg was again shot by a poison arrow during the battle, but this time would not survive, and so used the last of his strength to free Beleg from captivity, saving his life. With his sons dead and friends betrayed, Mim made his way to the abandoned realm of Nargothrond, where the elves were defeated and slaughtered by the armies of Morgoth. Arriving in the year 499 of the First Age, Mim, last of the Petty Dwarves, reclaimed Nulukisden in the name of his people and seized the remaining elven treasure, even gathering a small following who lived under his rule. Yet even such great riches could not save him from a sad end, as he was soon visited by the company of Húrin, father of Turin, who'd been a captive of Morgoth for many years, forced to watch from afar as his family endured their terrible fate. Knowing that it was Mim who betrayed his son Turin, Húrin killed the petty dwarf in cold blood, while his company slew the others. Yet Mim refused to die meekly and remained defiant to the end, using his last words to lay a curse upon the treasure he left behind. With the enemy dead, Húrin took the precious Nauglamir necklace and brought it to the realm of Doriath, where it remained with High King Thingol of the Sindar Elves, who then sent for the rest of the treasure as well. Thus it was that Mim's final act of vengeance took hold when the king came into a dispute with the dwarves of Nogrod over the Nauglamir necklace. They attacked with all their fury, slaying the king, sacking the city, and stealing the wealth of Doriath, including the treasure from Nargothrond. Yet not even the dwarves could escape the curse of Mim, as they were ambushed during the journey home by the hero Beren leading an army of green elves, and were slaughtered in retribution for their attack on Doriath. Although Beren recovered the Nauglamir, the rest of the cursed treasure was lost, falling into the Askar River during the battle. The curse then lived on through the necklace, now tied to a Silmaril jewel, which the sons of Feanor swore an oath to recover by any means. This then led to the second kinslaying, in which the Noldor elves destroyed the reborn realm of Doriath under King Dior, grandson of Thingol, and the third kinslaying, in which the sons of Feanor slaughtered the refugees in the havens of Sirion, causing Elwing, daughter of Dior, to throw herself into the sea, where the Nauglamir detached from the Silmaril and was never seen again. A special thanks to all those who contribute to Civilization X, like Zong the Black Wolf, Elendil of Numenor, Admiral Flint, and Commander Abadi of the JL Admiralty. If you'd like to help the channel, you can sign up for membership through the YouTube Join button, buy merchandise from the store page, or go to patreon.com/civilizationx, where you can get early access to videos, vote on future content, and access the members and Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.